All right, then. Hello, my fellow wastelanders, vault dwellers, and just generally people who are out there scavenging the ruins. My name is Josh. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dead Men Streaming. I am back in familiar territory, and I apologize for missing last week's video. So, in short, if you're new to the channel, here's what we do I will show you where to go, and in some places in person, show you where to go to pick up the daily and weekly challenges for this week in Fallout 76, which is the week of November 25th, 2025. As always, if you're catching this video at some point in the future, near, distant, far, or other, please note this is a live service game and sometimes things may change. What can I tell you? All right. And now, one thing to start this off before we get into this, don't forget December the 2nd is when the new patch is going to drop, the new season is going to drop, and all of this stuff over here will be opened up except for my home city of Parkersburg, which is still up in here. Having said all of that, yeah, I actually do live in the real world up north of Mothman, like up here. Anyways, um, with the new map, new season, new changes. One thing I'm going to say right now is to go to milepost 0 all the way down in here. Do at least one caravan. Yes, they're not the greatest, but they are removing them from the game next week. And when they do, they'll put all the rewards up on a new vendor over here-ish somewhere. And on top of that, the rumor is that you'll be getting some like gold bullion and a pennant and maybe a couple of other things if you've completed at least one caravan. So go do that this week if you haven't since the thing dropped. All right. Now, I am at Camp McClintock. Why? Because I've been here before and I'm being forced to be here again. If you haven't followed this on this channel, I'm going to show you where to go. Come to Camp McClintock for one of your weekly challenges. And then you're going to want to run through the camp a little bit and then head to the northwest, which is this direction, since I can't tell my directions with a compass. Look for this power pylon. Run down. Keep running. Keep running. This goes a little faster if you have power armor. You can just jetpack this stuff without risk of taking fall damage. All right, there's your first power pylon. You see it. Now look for the bridge, the New River Gorge Bridge in the background. And then we're going to approach this power pylon, number 2. Now, I'm currently doing this video on a private server, just to make sure that this stuff is going to be where I tell you it is. This may or may not be here if somebody else has already beat you to it if you're playing on a public server. But just so you know, one of the challenges this week is to collect 14 bars of soap. And once you come to this second power pylon near the New River Gorge Bridge, you'll find a bathtub with a skeleton and all the soap that you need. So just go ahead and loot this. Now keep in mind, this is the last week of the current season, so if you're in a rush to pick up stuff, if you've got a few points left to go to unlock everything you want to unlock, this is the week to do it. Oh, and one more thing. The axolotl for November should reset on the 2nd of December. So keep that in mind. Go to the cranberry bog and bog away until you pick that up. With that said, that was the first challenge of the week, and that was to collect 14 soaps. Now, moving on from that, build defense, appliance, or crafting items in a workshop or camp. I can't walk you through this one. Build defense, appliance, or crafting items in a workshop or camp. Catch a fish. Go to a place where fish are. And fish. Can't really tell you more than that. Again, the axolotl this month should, not guaranteed, be cycling out on the 2nd of December. So that's something to keep in mind. Collect 4 board games. Now, board games used to be kind of hard-ish to find, not always the hardest, but my preference is to run to the White Spring Refuge, and I'll show you where to go to pick those up. By the way, I do want to say thank you very much for supporting the channel. I hope you guys have had a wonderful time with it so far. I will be continuing this through the rest of the year and next with these Fallout 76 videos. So please be sure to give me a like, follow, subscribe. I'm sorry these aren't the flashiest videos or have all the fun intros and outros and other stuff, but listen, I'm a writer. I'm not a videographer. It needs to be a skill I need to learn in this day and age, and I probably will at some point. But stick with me, and I'll show you some stuff. All right. So come into the White Spring Refuge. And then once you're here, scoot around, talk to people if you want to, I don't care. Go all the way, take a hard right. You see the Atlantic City sign. You see back here the stamp vendor and the Nuka Cola vendor and all that. We don't care about them right now. But take a hard right once you come into the White Spring Refuge and keep going straight this way in this direction. And then walk over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 board games, enough you can knock out that weekly challenge in one shot. Now, having said that, you can also pick them up as scrap drops anymore, just junk drops off of random creatures like the next task. And that's going to be cripple a super mutant's head. Aim for the face. What more can I tell you? Aim for the face. All right, kill a Yaoga. Oh, and if you're looking for places to find super mutants, as always, your best two shots are Huntersville and Westec. You'll find all the super mutants you need in these two locations alone. You'll find a handful of them located off in the General's Steakhouse, which is generally right over here. And of course, basically, you'll trip over super mutants every time you walk into New Gad or a bunch of other locations, including Eviction Notice. Now, I'm going to walk out of here because these guys will not shut up, and I think they're probably interfering with my video. And honestly, I don't want to yell in your ear. So let me just scoot over this direction, and hopefully, they'll leave me alone. All right, the next challenge is one that I don't really like. This is one of those where you can find them without too much effort whenever you're not looking for them. And that's Kill a Yao Guy. And I'm sure I'm pronouncing that name insanely wrong. All right, head down to High Knob Lookout. You can usually find one caged up with the Blood Eagles down here, and sometimes there's two more fighting Blood Eagles just behind the point where you port in. You can usually find one up by Dolly Sod's Wilderness, and that is located, I have to remember, Dolly Sod's Wilderness, usually one by the door up here. So that's one, that's two, and the rest of the time, good luck. Like, there are a absolute ton of places you can pick these guys up, but the truth is, unless you feel like heading up to Philippi Battlefield Cemetery and hoping for the best there, or if you feel like heading down to the Monongah Overlook. Also, how rude is this guy talking over me? Monongah Overlook is right down. Let's see, there's Monongah, Seneca Rocks, Rose Room. Right down around here, you can usually find some down in there and in the Middle Mountain Cabins. Usually has a few, but honestly, let's see where Middle Mountain Cabins. I thought of it, and now I can't remember exactly where it is. Well, I don't know. It's down around here somewhere. Good hunting. All right, but no, in all seriousness, if you can reset that one, I would. That said, it is a weekly challenge. Odds are good you're going to run across them throughout the week. All right, moving on. Scrap junk to produce adhesive. Very easy. Go to a tinkerer's workbench, bulk adhesive, and then scrap it. Finally, on the weekly challenges, drink 25 Nuka Cola. Well, would you mind? I am talking over here. Shush, go away. Drink 25 Nuka Cola. All right. Well, I showed you where Bubbles was here in the White Spring Refuge. If you're short of Nuka Cola, you can also head down to Nuka World. There is a vendor near the crafting area off to the side next between the Wild West area and the big tent that also sells a bunch of Nuka Cola. So if you are for some reason short, you can go pick up a whole bunch over there. Finally, it wants you to off 15 mole rats. And they're everywhere, but because they're everywhere, they are inexplicably hard to find. My advice: wait for a daily op that has mole rats or has mole miners as a bad guy. You'll find them there. Do the second stage of the Gleaming Depths raid because you will pick up a bunch of mole rats in that. Words. Head to Mananga. You will pick up a bunch there along all of the mole miners. And then there is also like basically half the places in the ash heap. Anywhere you find mole miners, you'll find mole rats, including but not limited to, if I didn't just crash the game again, including but not limited to Welch and Mount Blair Train Yard and possibly Mount Blair itself. All right, and that's your weekly challenges. Oh, another good spot for mole rats. You can also pick up a bunch at Hill Folk Hot Dogs, located down at here, down here, next to Poseidon Power Substation PX1, south of Point Pleasant, north of Silva Homestead. So those are your weekly challenges. All right, and really quick to top you guys off with the daily challenges this week. Kill a mutated enemy and complete a mutated public event. Mutated public events are back. They'll be spawning at the top of every hour on the hour, and they are the normal public events only with mutations added to them. So just keep in mind what those are so you don't do anything that's inherently stupid. For example, this version of One Violent Night has toxic blood, so don't go in with a bloodied build unless you're willing to risk getting annihilated every few seconds. Uh, I actually love the toxic blood because my power armor is Union, and that gives me poison immunity. Just a tip. So just keep that in mind. Harvest corn, razor grain, or tato plant. As always, there's one good place for that, and that is the General Steakhouse. There is a garden behind the General Steakhouse, and in that garden you can find a whole bunch of everything you need for that challenge. Scrap junk to produce springs. You can make bulk springs. Kill 10 blood eagles and 10 mutated enemies. Well, the mutated enemies appear both at mutated public events and they also count for daily ops because, well, those enemies are mutated. So today's daily ops, as I say this, with blood eagles, should give you what you need for this, for both mutated enemies and, well, the blood eagles themselves. Scrap junk to produce rubber, also just bulk and scrap. And finally, sell glowing fungus soup to an NPC vendor. And that's it. Just find some glowing fungus that's all over the place. All right, ladies and gents, my name is Josh. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do hope this helps. Again, collect soap in that difficult, not really hard to find spot, or reset this challenge if somebody's already beat you to it. Collect 4 board games. Just run into the White Spring Refuge and pick that up. Kill or reset the Kill a Yao Guy challenge. Again, head to places like the Battlefield Cemetery. Head south to High Knob Lookout. Catch the one in here and maybe the 2 that are around it. Head over to Dolly Sod's Wilderness and just basically good luck on that one. Catching fish, crippling super mutant heads, and mole rats are the other things that are going to be not challenging, but not great. All right, that's it, guys. I will see you all again next week to talk about the new expansion. Hope you have fun. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to catch your last axolotl, and don't, and I mean don't, forget to do at least one caravan if you haven't done them before. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all again next week.